I'm sorry, sir, but your reservation doesn't exist. Please don't contact me again. My husband of 3 years cold, mocking words echoed through the Fairfax County Courthouse hallway. Outside the window, rain and sleet fell. My hand didn't tremble as I stamped the document. With a salary of $180,000 a year, why can't you manage to clean up at least one thing? He scorned me until the very last moment. I wondered if he was the same man I had pledged my life to 3 years ago. But I didn't cry. Instead, I smiled. In the parking lot, I opened my husband's car door and placed an envelope on the passenger seat. On it, only the date, time, and hospital name were written. Records don't lie. As I mumbled that and turned away, my husband looked at the envelope with a scoff, but I already knew the expression on his face when he would open it that night. Divorce wasn't an end, it was a beginning. Your subscriptions and likes give me the strength to create more stories. Hello, I'm Sarah Miller. I'm 35 years old. Before marriage, I worked as an insurance claims investigator at an insurance company. My job was to analyze every page of a document and figure out how insurance payouts worked in the event of an accident. At the time, I didn't know that skill would later become the weapon, protecting my life. It was winter, 3 years after I got married. It was an unusually cold day in Fairfax County, Virginia, with a light snow falling. My husband, David Thompson, looked the same under the fluorescent lights. With my $180,000 salary, why can't you settle down with me? Were his first words. He said that when I came to get the divorce papers, I didn't respond. It wasn't that I had nothing to say, but that I had already said everything I wanted to say. My husband just didn't know it yet. Hurry up and get the divorce papers. There's no more time. He glanced at his watch and dismissed me. He must have had an appointment. Perhaps golf, perhaps dinner with a pharmacist from a business partner. His schedule was always packed, except for his in-laws' doctor appointments. What? He didn't say anything. As expected, I couldn't utter a word. My husband interpreted my silence however he pleased. As always, I simply handed the papers to the clerk and pulled out my stamp. My hand didn't tremble. In fact, I was very calm. 3 years of marriage sealed with a single stamp. Yet I felt a strange sense of relief. The sound of the stamp echoed through the hallway. My husband also affixed his seal, and that was it. We became strangers. Legally, at least. Don't contact me again. Don't ever think of relying on me. Those were my husband's final words. They were too predictable to be a prophecy. This was how he always tried to assert his superiority. I'm the one who makes money. I supported you. You're nothing without me. I'd heard those words for 3 years. But then, right at that moment, I burst out laughing. What? My husband looked confused. Perhaps he hadn't expected that reaction. He'd thought I would cry, beg, or rage, but I just smiled. I turned without a word and walked to the parking lot where his car was parked. He followed me, but I didn't pay attention. I didn't have my own car. I'd sold mine after we got married. My husband said I could drive his car anyway, so I stood by his car. It was a BMW 5 Series. It was the new car my husband had bought last year. He said that in sales, you need a nice car, and he had bought it on installment for over $45,000. At that time, my father-in-law's rehabilitation costs were piling up, and I was looking for a way to borrow money. I opened the passenger side car door. "What are you doing?" he asked, but I didn't answer. I just took an envelope from my purse and gently placed it on the passenger seat. It was a thick craft paper envelope. Inside it were A4 papers. Nothing was written on the outside except the date and the hospital's name. What is this? As soon as my husband reached for the envelope, I closed the door, turned and walked away, and he hit me on the back of the head. He yelled something, but I didn't hear it. No, I didn't need to hear it. Everything I wanted to say was already in the envelope. As I left the courthouse and walked to the bus stop, the rain and sleet grew heavier. My clothes were drenched, but it didn't bother me. In fact, I felt refreshed. This was the first time in 3 years I had walked by myself. While waiting for the bus, I turned on my phone. There were no calls from my husband. I guessed he hadn't opened the envelope yet. He would open it when he got home, and then he would know. Records don't lie. That was the first principle I learned at the insurance company. People can lie, but paper doesn't. When receipts, bank statements, hospital records, messages, and call logs are compiled, the truth will be revealed. My husband probably thought I had been shocked for 3 years, only trying to endure. All I did was cry, endure, and suppress. That wasn't wrong. I cried a lot and suppressed my emotions. But there was one thing he didn't know. I wrote it all down while crying. I kept them while trying to suppress. I collected evidence while enduring. Every night, after my husband went to sleep, exhausted from caring for him and doing housework, I opened my laptop and organized an Excel file. I recorded the date, time, location, amount, details, my mother-in-law's hospital bills, my father-in-law's rehabilitation treatment costs, caregiver fees, and each type of medication. I also tracked the money leaving my husband's bank account, golf course installments, luxury brand shopping at department stores, and bills from fancy restaurants. At first, I only wrote it down out of anger. I felt wronged, thinking, I have to suffer like this, while he spends extravagantly like that. But as I wrote, I began to notice patterns, strange things. For example, there was a nursing care insurance claim filed under my mother-in-law's name. My husband once said, once mom's insurance money starts paying out, everything will be fine. But there was no trace of that money being used to pay hospital bills. Where did it go? I used my insurance history to trace it. I checked my mother-in-law's bank account, my husband's bank account, and all transfer records, and I discovered the insurance money was deposited into my mother-in-law's account, then immediately transferred to my husband's account. And this didn't just happen once or twice. It happened continuously for over 2 years. Wasn't this embezzlement? Insurance money was supposed to be used for the treatment and care of my mother-in-law, who was registered under her name. But if my husband used that money for personal purposes, it could be a legal issue, especially if my mother-in-law was in the early stages of dementia and her judgment was impaired. I investigated further. I checked all insurance claims filed under my mother-in-law's name. Then, I compared the amounts with receipts to see where it was actually spent. There were countless inconsistencies. I had saved for a year, crying, enduring, and persevering. And today, I put the records in an envelope and left it on my husband's car seat. Inside the envelope were these things: insurance claims filed under my in-laws' names, transfer records to my husband's bank account, and receipts showing where the money was actually spent: a golf course, a department store, a luxury restaurant, and a nearby hotel with a pharmacy. I recorded the payment dates and times, especially the day my mother-in-law went missing, and I had to stay in the emergency room all night. My husband cut off communication, saying he was entertaining clients. He even asked me where I was and what I was doing. I only wrote down the last hurdle in a week: David, the one who betrayed his family. Now you have to deal with it yourself. The bus arrived. I got on and looked out the window. Snow was still falling. It was a cold winter, but for the first time, I felt a warmth. This wasn't the end, but the beginning. My husband probably didn't know yet. Divorce wasn't the end. It was a beginning. I took out my phone and texted Michelle Chen, my former colleague in Portland. Michelle, it's over. Can I come down to Portland now? She replied quickly, of course, come anytime. I've already got work lined up for you. My friend Michelle used to run a private legal consulting office in Portland, Oregon. When I decided to divorce, she was the first person I contacted. She didn't ask, why are you getting a divorce? But simply said, just contact me anytime if you need anything. And throughout the past month, while I prepared the envelope, she gave me countless pieces of advice. Sarah, don't cry. Just gather all the papers. Emotions aren't evidence. She was right. Emotions aren't evidence. No matter how wronged you feel, no matter how angry you are, you still need paperwork to fight legally. So, I didn't cry. No, I did cry, but I still wrote even while crying. The bus left downtown Washington, D.C. Familiar sights flashed past the window. It was the neighborhood I had lived in for 3 years since marrying. It was a place I would never return to. My phone rang. It was my husband. I didn't answer. Instead, I turned it off. There was nothing more to say to him. Everything was already in the envelope. I could only imagine the look on his face when he opened the envelope that night. At first, he probably laughed, wondering, what the hell is this? But as he flipped through each page, his expression would grow more serious. And by the last page, he would probably collapse. I didn't want to see that. Revenge wasn't my goal. I just wanted everything to be resolved cleanly, neatly. If I had a salary of $180,000, couldn't he resolve everything? My husband's last words still echoed in my ears. He wasn't wrong. Everything was resolved neatly. But what my husband didn't know was that it wasn't me who was resolved neatly, but his lies. Flashback to 3 years ago. About a month after the wedding, before the joy of newlywed life had even settled, I received a call from my mother-in-law. "Sarah, could you come with me to the hospital for a bit?" At first, I thought it was just a routine checkup. Older people often get EKGs, you know? So, yes, I happily complied and said, "Mom," but the diagnosis from the hospital was different from what I expected. She was showing early signs of dementia. My mother-in-law was surprised by the doctor's words. I, who was present, was also surprised. She was just a young lady, and she had dementia. The disease was still in its early stages, so medication and cognitive training could help slow its progression. However, a guardian needed to monitor her carefully. Guardian. That word echoed in my ears. At the time, I didn't realize. I never thought that guardian would become an omen of difficulty. When I got home, I told my husband, "Honey, your mom is in the early stages of dementia. The hospital said she needs a guardian to take good care of her." I was so worried. My mom was worried about being alone, but my husband seemed genuinely concerned. And the next day, a message appeared in the family group text. "Dad, Mom's test results at the hospital weren't good, so I hope my daughter-in-law can take care of Mom for a bit. Mark and Sarah, please take good care of Mom. I'm busy raising the kids, so I and Sarah will take good care of Mom. That's why we got married, isn't it? That's why we got married." Those words carved themselves into my heart. I thought I married her for love, but I guess it meant something different to my husband. From that day on, my routine began to change. I came home at 7 a.m., gave my mother-in-law her medication, and prepared breakfast. I went to work at 8 a.m. After work at 6 p.m., I would go straight to my in-laws' house to prepare dinner. Came home at 9 p.m. to wash dishes and do laundry. Finally, I could barely sleep by midnight. On weekends, I took my mother-in-law to the hospital, got her medication, and looked into cognitive training programs. The first few months were fine. It was difficult, but I thought it was just my first year as a daughter-in-law, so I tried to endure. My mother-in-law was very grateful. But about 6 months later, my father-in-law suffered a stroke. It was a stroke. Fortunately, his life wasn't in danger, but his right arm and leg were paralyzed. They told me he needed rehabilitation, intensive treatment for at least 6 months to a year, and then another message appeared in the group text. "Mark, Sarah, and Dad, please take care of Sarah. My family is very busy with the kids' classes. Honey, Sarah, I'm sorry, but can you take better care of Mom and Dad for a while? I'll make more money and make it up to you. I'll make it up to you with money." That was the first time I felt something strange, but I could hardly say anything. I thought it was natural for a daughter-in-law to take care of her in-laws, who were both retired. 6 more months passed. One day, my team lead called me in. "Sarah, you haven't been well lately. Are you okay?" "Yes, I'm fine. I've been making more mistakes. I want to make sure I can focus on work." My team lead was right. I wasn't focused. I couldn't sleep well at night. My mind was spinning with thoughts of my father-in-law's rehabilitation schedule, my mother-in-law's medication times, and hospital bill payment deadlines. That evening, I told my husband, "Honey, work has been so hard lately. I can't even sleep because I'm taking care of your parents. So I think I should quit my job." My husband replied very simply, "What? Just quit. How much is your salary?" "It's not even $250. I have to pay you more than that. I earn $180,000 a year. You don't need to earn more than that." But both my parents are retired, so the daughter-in-law has to take care of them at home. Isn't that normal? It's normal. I was stunned by those words. Was it really normal? To give up my career just because I was a daughter-in-law? I went to work because I liked it, not just for the money. If you like it, you can treat it as a hobby. For now, my parents are the most important thing. Sarah, make a little sacrifice. I'll also try my best to earn money. Sacrifice. That word weighed heavily on my heart. In the end, I quit my job. I swallowed my tears and submitted my resignation. My colleagues were very disappointed. Sarah, are you really quitting? You're so good at your job. You just have family issues. I didn't lie. But that wasn't all. When I quit my job and returned home, my husband smiled angrily and said, "Good. Now you can take good care of my parents. I'll give you $2,500 for living expenses." Isn't that more than my monthly salary? $2,500. That amount was even more than my salary. But somehow, I felt bitter. It felt like the value of my efforts had been turned into money. And, Sarah, if things have come to this, should I move in with my in-laws? Sure. Our house is bigger. Living with your parents will be more convenient for commuting. So, my in-laws moved in. At first, it was fine. Every time my mother-in-law said, "Thank you, Sarah," I felt like I had done well. But as time passed, the atmosphere changed. "Sarah, the soup is a bit bland." "Sarah, why did you do the laundry like this? It's all wrinkled." "Sarah, Dad, you forgot your medication time. The daughter-in-law should handle that." Gratitude disappeared, replaced by criticism. And my husband, too. "Mom's right. Sarah, you should pay more attention." My husband always sided with his mother. No matter how hard I worked, he would just say, "I make the money. Your job is to take care of the house." The $2,500 for living expenses was still not enough. After deducting my in-laws' hospital bills, medication, and caregiver fees, we had almost nothing left. One day, I told my husband, "Honey, could you increase the living expenses a bit? The hospital bills are so high. I'm giving you a fixed amount. $2,500 should be enough. But my parents' hospital bills alone are over $2,000 a month, so you need to save more. I'm too busy to worry about this and that. Just save." I tried to shop as frugally as possible. I hadn't bought clothes in years, and I almost only went to the hairdresser once a year. I almost skipped lunch. But money was still tight. Finally, I closed the savings account I had accumulated before marriage. I used that money to pay hospital bills, but it also ran out in 6 months. Next was my savings. I even used up my emergency fund, and the last thing I touched was the deposit for the small property I inherited from my father. Before he passed away, he left me a small commercial property, telling me to keep it for emergencies. The deposit was $50,000. I tried not to touch it, but I couldn't bear it anymore. I needed money urgently for my father-in-law's rehabilitation treatment. I swallowed my tears and withdrew the deposit to pay hospital bills. That evening, I told my husband, "Honey, I even used the deposit for the commercial building my dad left me." "Yeah, I have no other choice. I have to take care of urgent matters first." That was his reaction. Not a word of apology. Not a word of thanks. He just said, "I can't do anything else." At that moment, everything seemed to collapse. I had poured my heart and soul into it for 3 years. My career, my time, my money, my self-esteem. But my husband took it for granted. He insisted it was his responsibility. "I'm the daughter-in-law, so I deserve it. She chose me." Such words gradually eroded my self-esteem. One day, when I looked in the mirror, I saw a stranger. A thin, tired, soulless person. "Is this me?" I cried. But I didn't have time to cry. My mother-in-law's medication time was approaching. I endured each day like that. No, instead of enduring, I just drifted. Without meaning or direction, only then did I realize. It was all because my role as a daughter-in-law had laid the groundwork for this, and my husband was the one setting the trap. Winter came again. It had been about 2.5 years since we married. That evening, a stack of hospital bills lay on the living room table. My father-in-law's rehabilitation costs, my mother-in-law's dementia medication, and caregiver costs combined exceeded $2,100 per month. The $2,500 my husband gave me for living expenses was not enough. After deducting expenses like credit card payments, utilities, and daily necessities, my account balance was actually negative. I started using credit cards to pay off debt. I paid off card A with card B, then card B with card C, and so on until the next month, and I had to use card B again to pay off the debt. I managed like that for 6 months, but the interest kept increasing rapidly. Finally, I had to borrow money. At first, it was just a small amount, about $1,800. I thought I would pay it back quickly, but I didn't have enough money. If I deducted hospital bills from living expenses, I would be short on money, and if I prioritized hospital bills, I wouldn't have enough for living expenses. Finally, the loan increased to $3,500, then $5,000, and before I knew it, it was over $9,000. I couldn't sleep at night. I calculated interest, planned next month's expenses, and my mind just spun with numbers. Then, one day, my husband showed off his new set of golf clubs. Look, brand new. He told me it cost Su Wu Bai. 4,000 Wu Bai. 4,500? Yeah. If you're in sales, you have to be good at golf. You can't use shabby equipment when meeting clients. I couldn't say anything. $4,500 was enough to pay half of my maximum withdrawal. Honey, money's tight lately. Could you give me a little more for living expenses? I gave you $2,500, and that was still not enough. Hospital bills were sky high. With $2,500 a month, I had almost nothing left. You should have saved. I also spend a lot of money outside of work. But he spent $4,500 on golf clubs, then said, "That's an investment. An investment? If I don't manage clients, I won't be able to maintain this salary. Don't you even know that?" My husband angrily stormed into the room. I sat there blankly, the word investment swirling in my head. Were golf clubs an investment, and hospital bills a waste of money? A few days later, I accidentally came across my husband's credit card statement. It was on the table. At first, I tried to ignore it, but then something caught my eye. Department store, $3,200. $3,200 spent at a department store. What expensive thing did he buy? I looked down and saw more. Restaurant, $380. Hotel, $280. Golf course, $85. My husband had spent over $9,000 in a single month. My hands trembled. I wondered what was going on. I was living day to day by borrowing money and paying off credit card debt. But my husband was spending $9,000 a month. Honey, what is this? I asked him, holding the statement. What's a credit card statement? He spends over $9,000 a month. Why? My husband just had a baby. How can he only give him $2,500 for living expenses and still spend $9,000? That's my money, so what's wrong with me spending it? It's fine. I even borrowed money to pay hospital bills. Because you don't know how to manage money. What do you mean? $2,500 is enough. Other families don't even give that much, and that amount is already a lot. But it's still not enough because you don't know how to manage. I was speechless. Don't know how to manage? Honey, I'm trying my best to save. I haven't bought myself clothes in years, and I don't even go to the hairdresser anymore. Then cut back on your parents' hospital bills. Why do you always have to go to such expensive places? Isn't your parents' health your top priority? Yes, but I can't spend all the money on that. My heart sank when I said, my money. To my husband, this money wasn't ours, it was his. And Sarah, you chose it. I decided to quit my job and stay home to care for my parents. My wife insisted on it, so I forced her. I gave her a choice. It was her choice. Why is she blaming me? What did I do wrong? My husband seemed to truly believe he had done nothing wrong. I couldn't sleep that night. Only then did I realize that sacrifice was actually exploitation. I thought I was sacrificing for my family. But my husband said it was my choice, and he blamed me for that choice. The next day, I started taking notes. I copied his credit card statements. I checked his bank statements. I wrote down the amount my husband and I spent, side by side. I created an Excel file and organized it by date. The 3rd of November 2022. Father-in-law's rehabilitation treatment, $680. Husband's golf expenses, $1,000. The 10th of November 2022. Mother-in-law's medication, $290. Husband's department store shopping, $2,100. The 18th of November 2022. Husband's restaurant expenses, $380. The numbers piled up. Then I noticed something strange. There was a nursing care insurance payment under my mother-in-law's name. This amount had been deposited monthly for an entire year. I remembered my husband once saying, "Once Mom's insurance money starts paying out, everything will be fine." But he had never used that money to pay any hospital bills. I had paid the money myself. So where did the insurance money go? I checked my mother-in-law's bank account. My husband managed her account because she had dementia. There was a record of the insurance money being deposited, $1,250 every month. But there was also a record of the money being transferred to my husband's account on the same day. Choi Yun-so's mother-in-law, Choi Do-yeon's mother-in-law, $1,250. Every month, without fail, I choked. The insurance money was for my mother-in-law's care. My husband had transferred it to his account. So where did the money go? I cross-referenced it with my husband's credit card statements. The date the insurance money was deposited and the date he spent large sums almost coincided. On the day the insurance money was received, he bought luxury goods at a department store. He also paid for golf on the same day. He also paid for a meal at a luxury restaurant. Wasn't this embezzlement? My mother-in-law had dementia and was not fully capable of reasoning. My husband had used her insurance money for personal purposes. This could lead to legal trouble. I called my old colleague, Michelle. "Michelle, can you help me? What's going on?" It's hard to explain, but I need to confirm some things about insurance money. Michelle ran a private insurance consulting firm in Portland. She specialized in tracing insurance money flows. "Sarah, is there a problem with the insurance money?" "Yes. I need you to explain in detail, because I think my mother-in-law's long-term care insurance money has been misused." I explained the situation to my friend. I mentioned my mother's dementia, the insurance money, the transfer details, and even my husband's credit card information. My friend listened for a while, then gently said, "Sarah, isn't this embezzlement?" "I know. Insurance money must be used for the treatment and care of the insured. If a family member uses it for personal purposes, it is a violation of the law, especially when the insured has dementia and is unable to make decisions. So what should I do?" First, gather evidence. Even if you collect all bank transfer details, credit card information, and hospital bills, and Sarah, okay, don't cry and hold on to the papers. Emotions aren't evidence. My friend's words brought tears to my eyes. But I didn't cry. I needed to record the moment I cried. From that day on, I became serious. I copied my mother-in-law's savings passbooks, checked her insurance policies, and photographed all of my husband's credit card statements. I organized everything into an Excel spreadsheet, cross-referencing by date. The date, the amount of insurance money transferred, the transfer details, my husband's card usage history, and actual hospital expenses were all compiled into a complete picture. In the past 2 years, my husband had spent a total of $30,000 of his mother's insurance. He had actually not spent a single dollar on hospital bills. I had paid it all out of my own pocket. So, where did that $30,000 go? Golf, luxury brands, restaurants, hotels, and one more thing. There were regular payments made near a business pharmacy. At first, these were business-related expenses, but the payment times were very strange, 9 or 10 p.m. on weekdays, even weekends. There were also payments for hotels. From the business pharmacy, it was only a 5-minute drive. That's when suspicion turned into certainty. My husband was having an affair using my mother-in-law's insurance money. That evening, I sat down in front of my laptop and started making envelopes. I hadn't decided to divorce yet, but I knew I would need them someday. Records don't lie. That was the principle I learned at the insurance company. People can make excuses, but numbers don't. Bills, savings passbooks, and credit card statements all told the truth. I quietly collected evidence. My husband probably didn't know. The seeds of doubt began to sprout. Every night after he went to sleep, I opened my laptop and took notes. And those seeds grew deeper. Spring arrived, but it was still winter in our house. It was March, our 3-year wedding anniversary. My husband went out more often. Today I have a business meeting, so I'll be home late. Tomorrow I have a golf appointment. Maybe I won't be able to come home this weekend because of a business meeting. At first, I believed him. I assumed that since he was in sales, managing business relationships was important. But the evidence I collected told a different story. During those business meetings, there was a hotel payment, and on the day she was supposed to go golfing, she bought women's luxury goods at a department store. One night, a notification popped up on her husband's phone. He was showering, his phone on the living room sofa. What time should we meet tomorrow? David often mentioned that pharmacist, Jessica Lee, in business meetings. He said she was the 28-year-old daughter of a pharmacy owner. She remembered what her husband had said about taking good care of his important clients, but that message was too private to be kept in a business record. She wanted to look at the phone more, but held back, thinking he would come out. Instead, she memorized the name, Jessica Lee. A few days later, her husband called again. Today I have a business meeting. I'll be home late. Where are you doing business? Georgetown. Why? No, just that. My husband left at 7 p.m., and he didn't come home until after 11 p.m. I checked his location. I had shared his location with the family. It wasn't Georgetown. He was somewhere in Alexandria, VA. I looked up the address and it was a hotel. The next day, I checked his credit card statement. Hotel, M, $240, 9:30 p.m. the night before. Restaurant, $8, 7:45 p.m. the night before. He said he had a business meeting, but he had dinner at a restaurant before going to the hotel. Alone? Or perhaps I didn't want to check further. But I couldn't stop. I had to know the truth. The next week, everything repeated itself. Today, I have a client meeting. And again, a hotel bill. Tomorrow, I'm having dinner with a client. And again, another hotel bill. I went to a hotel 4 or 5 times a month. I asked my husband, "Honey, you seem really busy lately. Are you okay?" "Yeah, a little busy. If I don't manage clients, my work performance will be affected, so I still have to go to hotels for client meetings." "Is that too much?" "Hotels? Which hotels?" My husband looked at me with a puzzled expression. "No, I saw a few hotel charges on your credit card statement." "Oh, I sometimes use that card when I meet a local boss." "Why are you looking at my credit card statement?" "I'm trying to manage my living expenses." "You don't need to manage my card. Just manage yours," my husband said, his voice annoyed, and ended the conversation. But I knew. The hotel in Washington, D.C., not in a rural area, was a lie, and I kept that lie as evidence. It was mid-April. My mother-in-law went missing. I was preparing dinner when she disappeared. I searched the house, but she wasn't there. The front door was wide open. She had gone out. It's very dangerous for someone with dementia to go out alone. I quickly put on my shoes and ran out. I walked around the neighborhood, but she was still nowhere to be seen. I contacted the security office, reported the incident to the police, and searched the neighborhood. Around 10 p.m., I found Mom at a convenience store nearby. My mom sat there, her face blank. "Are you okay, Sarah? Where am I?" "This is a convenience store. Let's go home." I carried Mom home. Fortunately, Mom wasn't hurt, but I was exhausted. I had been running around for hours. I called my husband about 20 times, but he didn't answer. When I got home, I texted him, "Your mom went missing, and now she's found. Please answer your phone." An hour later, I received a text reply. "Mom's in custody. Let's talk later." In custody. That word stuck in my throat. The next day, I checked my husband's credit card statement. Hotel, $280. It was 9 p.m. the night before. While I was walking around the neighborhood looking for my mother-in-law, my husband was at a hotel, and he was there, supposedly entertaining clients. A few days later, my father-in-law fell at the rehabilitation center. Fortunately, he wasn't seriously injured, but he was taken to the emergency room. I rushed to the hospital. It was 11 p.m. While waiting in the hallway, I called my husband. "Honey, your dad fell and is in the emergency room. Is he seriously injured? He's still undergoing tests. Can you come?" I was at a company dinner, and he was in the emergency room. Okay, but I can't go right now, so you stay and call me later." My husband hung up. I sat alone in the emergency room. There were many patients and their families around me, but I was the only one alone. Fortunately, my father-in-law wasn't seriously injured. He only had bruises. But he had to stay in the hospital all night. My husband arrived at 2 a.m. "Is Dad okay?" "Yes. Fortunately, he's not seriously injured." "Then that's fine. I have an early meeting tomorrow morning, so I'll go ahead. Sarah, take care of Dad." My husband left less than 10 minutes later. I sat on the chair and watched over my father-in-law until morning. My eyes kept opening and closing. My body felt as heavy as 1,000 pounds. Then, a thought suddenly flashed through my mind. What am I doing? Is this what I should be doing as a daughter-in-law? Oh my God. Am I just being used? I already knew the answer, but I didn't want to admit it. I felt like I would collapse if I said it. It was early May. My husband suddenly said, "Sarah, let's get a divorce." "You mean divorce? I don't think we're compatible anymore." I couldn't believe my ears. What was he saying so suddenly? Why would he say that? It wasn't sudden. He had been thinking about it for a while. He felt pathetic being with me. "You feel pathetic?" "Yeah. I make $180,000 a year, but my wife stays home taking care of my elderly parents. What will people say? They'll say I can't even manage my own wife." I choked. "I stayed home because you told me to stay home. Who told you to quit your job to take care of my parents? When did I force you? It was your choice." "Choice? You told me to stay home because you would pay me living expenses." "Yeah, that's a good living expense. $2,500 per person, and it's still not enough." I groaned and cried when I heard my husband say that, but I tried to hold back my tears. "Why are you crying? What did I do wrong?" "You didn't do anything wrong. Not a single thing wrong. I told you I owe you money." "What? That tone? Are you arguing with me?" "I'm not arguing with you. I'm just telling the truth." "Truth? What truth? You didn't do anything wrong. You told me to make money to pay for living expenses and take care of my parents. All true. But there's one thing you don't understand." "What?" "Treat me like a human being." My husband groaned. "Treat me like a human being. Are you saying I didn't treat you like a human being?" "Yes. Look how well I treated you. Provided living expenses, drove you around, gave you a big house. You think that's treating me like a human being? I can't take it anymore. Treating me like a human being means respecting others, asking for my opinion, giving me choices, and caring about my feelings. But you never did any of that. Stop it." "No, I won't stop. I've endured it for 3 years. Now I'm going to say something." "What do you have to say?" "You didn't treat me as a human being, but as a tool. A tool to take care of your parents. A tool to do housework. A tool to make everything go smoothly." My husband's face hardened. "Let's get a divorce," I said. My husband looked bewildered. Perhaps he hadn't expected me to be the one to ask for a divorce. "Okay, then let's get a divorce. But don't expect any property division. It's my money, so why should I give it to you? I won't sell any assets. No alimony. I don't expect that either. So what do you expect?" "Nothing," I said softly. "I don't want anything. I just want to end everything. Decisively." My husband looked worried, but then smiled. "Okay, then do that. We'll go to the courthouse next week." And that's how the divorce date was set. That night, I opened my laptop. I organized all the evidence I had collected over the past year into a single file. I printed everything out. my mother-in-law's insurance money, embezzlement records, my husband's infidelity, detailed statements of hospital bills and luxury spending, a list of my sacrifices. I wrote it all on A4 paper. I put it in a craft paper envelope. I didn't write anything on the envelope except for one thing: 9 p.m., the 16th of April 2024, the day my mother-in-law disappeared from the hotel. The last line I wrote was, "David, the one who betrayed his family. Now you have to take responsibility." I sealed the envelope, and I put it deep in the drawer. I planned to give it to him on the day of the divorce. There was only 1 month left until our divorce. My husband seemed relieved to see me easily agree to a divorce. He completely let down his guard when I said I didn't want property division or alimony. "Sarah, let's go to the courthouse next Friday. Is that time convenient?" "Yes, I'm fine," I replied calmly. My husband probably thought I had given up. I was about to admit defeat and quietly retreat, but I wasn't resigned. I was preparing. That evening, I called Michelle. "Michelle, we've decided to get a divorce." "So, you've decided?" "Yes. I decided to go to the courthouse next month." "Sarah, are you okay?" I heard a worried tone in her voice. "It's okay. No, it'll be okay." I decided not to divide property or receive alimony. That was true. I didn't want a prolonged battle. I just wanted to resolve everything cleanly. I didn't want money. I didn't want to prolong a legal battle with my husband. But I wanted to clarify one thing. "Michelle, can you check this envelope for me?" "An envelope?" "Yes. I've reorganized the evidence I've collected so far. I'd be very grateful if you could take a look." "Send it to me. I'll check." I sent the file to my friend via email. The next day, I received a call from her. "Sarah, this is amazing. Yes, we have solid evidence of insurance money embezzlement. The bank transfer and credit card transactions all match. At this point, we can proceed with legal procedures." "I understand, and the evidence of infidelity is almost certain, with hotel payment details and location records, so yes. Sarah, can you sue for alimony based on this?" "No, you should. I'm not doing this for money, Michelle. I know, but these are your legitimate rights. But I just want to resolve everything. I'm not looking for revenge," she sighed. "Okay, do as you please. But if you change your mind, contact me anytime. Thank you." "And Sarah, after the divorce, will you come down and work here?" "Yes. There's no reason to stay in Washington, D.C. anymore. Then let's work together at the office." The seat was already arranged. "Thank you so much." After hanging up, I took out the envelope again. It was over 50 pages of A4 paper. Inside were 2 years of records, all clearly marked. The first page was my mother-in-law's insurance payment history. Nursing care insurance claim history: $1,250 per month for 25 months, from March 2022 to April 2024, totaling $31,250. Then there was a record of the money transferred from my mother-in-law's account to my husband's account, organized by date. Next were my husband's card transactions. I compared the date of receiving the insurance money with the date he spent a large sum. The 15th of March 2022, $1,250 insurance money, $1,000 card usage at the golf course. The 15th of April 2022, $1,250 insurance money transferred to the account, $2,100 spent by credit card at a department store. The 15th of May 2022, $1,250 insurance money transferred to the account, $550 spent by credit card at a restaurant and hotel. The pattern was very clear. When he received the insurance money, my husband used it to satisfy his greed. The next page was a detailed breakdown of actual hospital expenses. My mother-in-law's dementia medication, my father-in-law's rehabilitation costs, and caregiver fees were all paid with my credit card and bank account. I also attached copies of the receipts. Each receipt was stamped with the date and amount. And the last part was about the affair. At 9 p.m. on the 16th of April 2024, a hotel payment of $280 was made. That was the day my mother-in-law went missing. While I wandered around the neighborhood looking for Mom, My husband was at a hotel. I also attached his location history, a screenshot from the family location sharing service. It showed exactly where he was, at every hour. 7 p.m., Alexandria, VA restaurant. 9 p.m., Alexandria, VA hotel. 1 a.m., returned home. And the final chapter, the brother who betrayed his family. Now you have to take responsibility. I concluded this in a single line. I didn't want to write too much. I didn't want to list my anger or sadness. I just presented the facts, just numbers, dates, and records. Records don't lie, so I sealed the envelope. Until the day of the divorce, my husband would think I knew nothing. A naive daughter-in-law, a woman who endured everything, but then gave up. My husband must have seen me that way. But I knew. It wasn't giving up. It was just a matter of resolution. A week before the divorce, my mother-in-law called. "Sarah, come here for a moment." "Yes, Mom." My mother-in-law was sitting in the living room. Her expression was unusually serious. "Sarah, I heard you're divorcing David?" "Yes." "Why?" I found it difficult to answer. I couldn't say my son had been subdued. It's just that we didn't seem to get along. "Yes. I thought I treated you well." My mom's words made my heart ache. "I'm sorry, Mom." "Sorry for what?" "This is your life." My mom stared out the window for a while, then said, "Sarah, lately I'm forgetful, so I don't remember clearly, but I'm so sorry." "Yes, you had a hard time coming to our house." "I know. David was very bad to you." Tears welled up in my eyes. "I'm sorry, Mom. I guess I expected too much from a daughter-in-law. I also had a hard time with my in-laws before, and I treated you like that." "It's okay, Mom. It's okay. You didn't do anything wrong, but we were too selfish." Mom took my hand. "Sarah, it's okay to get a divorce. You should live your own life. Don't sacrifice yourself for us." At that moment, my tears also welled up. For the first time in 3 years, I felt treated like a human being. "Thank you, Mom." My mom smiled. Although her memory had faded due to dementia, I guessed her warmth was still there. That evening, my father-in-law called me. He was undergoing rehabilitation, so his voice was a bit slurred, but his affection was still conveyed. "Thank you, Sarah. And I'm sorry. Dad, David was wrong. I guess I didn't teach him properly." My father-in-law welled up with tears. "It's okay, Dad. I'll be fine too, Sarah. You have to be happy." I nodded resolutely. My in-laws weren't bad people. It's just that times had taught them that way, and my husband took advantage of it. 2 days before the divorce, I started cleaning the house. I didn't have much luggage, just a few clothes, a few books, and a laptop. I planned to leave everything else behind. I even put my wedding ring in a drawer. There was no reason to take it with me. My husband watched me pack, but he didn't say anything. In fact, he seemed relieved. "You're done packing. Where are you going after the divorce?" "Portland." "What are you going to do there?" "I have a job." "What? What's going on?" "Loss adjuster. A senior colleague at my old company arranged this position for me." My husband scoffed. "Loss adjuster. Can you do that?" "I'm taking a break." "I can do it." "Go ahead. But even if you fail, don't contact me." "I won't," I said firmly. My husband no longer cared. He didn't care if I went to Portland and failed. That was the night before our divorce. I checked the envelope one last time. There was over a pound of neatly stacked papers. Numbers, dates, receipts, bank statements, location records, all true. I wrote another date on the envelope. 9 p.m., the 16th of April 2024, the day my mother-in-law disappeared from the hotel. My husband would know when he saw this date. He would know how meticulously I had recorded everything. And he would realize that the wife he thought was arranging everything was actually arranging him. The next day was finally my divorce day. 3 days later, I arrived in Portland. My friend, Michelle, came to pick me up. "Sarah, my dear." She hugged me tightly. I cried right then. "You've had a tough time, haven't you?" "Yes." "It's okay now. This isn't Washington, D.C., you can start over." My friend led me to her office. Michelle Chen and Associates, loss adjusters. The sign caught my attention. It was a small but neat office. "This is your office." "Yes, I've prepared a desk for you." There were 4 desks in the office. One of them was already set up. "You just need to learn everything slowly. Don't rush." "Thank you. What are you grateful for?" "We live by helping each other." The first week was for adjustment. There was a lot to learn: how to process insurance claims, how to record accident scenes, and damage assessment standards. At first, I was very nervous because I hadn't worked for 3 years. But once I started, my body seemed to remember. "Sarah, can you look at this document?" My friend handed me a document. It was a car accident insurance claim. I started reading. The date and time of the accident, the location, the damage details, and the numbers in the hospital records caught my attention. And then I noticed something strange. "Michelle, this hospital bill seems strange. What should I do?" The medical records and the amount on the bill didn't match. It seemed like I had been overcharged for the treatment I actually received. My friend listened to me and rechecked the papers. "You're right, you did well. In this case, you should contact the hospital." "Yes, call them right away." I called the hospital and rechecked the medical records. As expected, it was an overcharge. The actual treatment cost was only about 60% of the claim. I checked. It was indeed overcharged. Excellent. Then adjust it. I calculated the necessary amount and wrote a report. My friend smiled after reading the report. "As expected, Sarah, you're still very good." "Really?" "Yes. The details are very clear. You can do this much." My friend's praise gave me confidence. I can still do it. The first month passed like that. As I got used to the work, my work efficiency gradually improved. In the second month, I personally went to the scene of a fire. It was a small restaurant. When I arrived, the owner was crying. The restaurant had been completely burned down. She had run this restaurant for 20 years. "Do you have insurance?" "Yes. But I don't know how much the insurance company will pay." I investigated the scene very carefully. I took photos and recorded everything: the cause of the fire, the damage, the scope, the loss, and the scale. A week later, I wrote a report. The owner could receive about $68,000 in compensation. "That's good news, ma'am. You can receive about $68,000 in insurance money." "Really? $68,000? "Yes." I calculated it to reflect the damage as accurately as possible. The woman cried and grabbed my hand. "Thank you. Thank you so much." At that moment, I realized the meaning of my work. I wasn't just calculating insurance money. I was helping someone rebuild their life. Finally, I achieved the best performance in the office. My friend congratulated me. "Sarah, amazing. You're #1 already." I was lucky. Not lucky. That's skill. Clients love you because you're meticulous and accurate. In fact, my clients were very satisfied. Miss Sarah Miller explains everything so clearly and simply. "Thanks to you, I received my insurance money. Thank you." As positive reviews increased, my confidence gradually returned. I thought, I can do it too. No, I'm doing well. But something else happened in Washington, D.C. One day, I received a call from Mark, my husband's brother. "Sarah, you're in Portland, right?" "Yes, Mark. David's been acting strange lately. Did you do anything?" "What?" "I don't know. I just called because he seems very stressed lately, and I thought it might be because of you." "I didn't do anything." "Really?" "Yes." Mark hung up, sounding uneasy. A few days later, Michelle smiled and said, "Sarah, your ex-husband must be in a lot of trouble lately." "Why?" "My friend lives in Washington, D.C., and happened to hear that your ex-husband was being audited at his company." "Audited?" "Yeah, probably suspected of embezzlement or something." My heart sank. The envelope. I was in Portland when my husband opened it, so I didn't know what happened afterward, but I knew it wouldn't go away easily. "Sarah, did you do anything to your brother?" "I didn't do anything." "So what?" "This is happening." "Michelle, I really didn't do anything. I was just collecting evidence." "In fact, yes." "Where did your mother's insurance money go?" "Who paid the hospital bills?" Mark seemed speechless. Really? Yes, I have all the evidence. Receipts, bank statements. Michelle, I didn't intend to seek revenge. I just wanted to make everything clear. Very clear. Mark was silent for a long time, then softly said, I'm sorry, Sarah. I think we were too hard on you. It's okay. It's okay. You knew but pretended not to know. Everything you did wrong to me is in the past. Sarah, are you okay in Portland? Yes, I'm fine. I'm glad. I'm happy. After hanging up, I looked out the window. The nights in Portland were special. A few days later, Michelle smiled and said, Sarah, your ex-husband must be in a mess. What? He was fired from his company for embezzlement. And his relationship with a pharmacist he worked with was also discovered. The pharmacist's father is the president of a pharmacy chain, and he was very angry to learn that his daughter was having an affair with a married man. He definitely cut off all business with her. I didn't say anything. The police were also investigating the embezzlement of my mother's insurance money. You could be punished for this. Sarah, did you do the right thing? I nodded. What did you do? An envelope. I left it on the passenger seat of my husband's car on the day of the divorce. What was in the envelope? Evidence. Details of the insurance money embezzlement, details of the affair, a list of hospital expenses, everything. My friend smiled in surprise. Amazing. Revenge is too clean. This isn't revenge, my dear. Clarify everything. Arrange it. Yes, I'm just arranging the facts. My husband's downfall is his fault, not mine. My friend patted my shoulder. That's right, it's not my fault. You did great, Sarah. That night, for the first time in a long time, I thought of my husband. The moment he handed me the envelope at the Fairfax County Courthouse on the day of the divorce, he probably thought I didn't know anything. He said I was a naive woman who gave up after enduring everything. But I didn't give up. I just arranged everything cleanly, and when he came home that night, he must have opened the envelope. What is this? At first, he must have laughed, but as he flipped through each page, his expression grew more serious. Details of my mother-in-law's insurance payments, records of transfers to my husband's bank account, credit card transactions, medical expense reports, and the final shock, 9 p.m. The 16th of April 2024, the day my mother-in-law disappeared from the hotel. That day, I wandered around the neighborhood looking for Mom. My husband was at a hotel. With the attached location log, there was no room for excuses. David, the one who betrayed his family earlier, now you have to take care of yourself. My husband must have realized it right then. The wife he thought had everything neatly arranged was actually arranging him. And that envelope wasn't just divorce papers. It was a bomb that would destroy his life. I didn't care how my husband would react. It didn't matter. What mattered was that I was no longer bound to him. About a month later, I met Daniel Lee again. This time, it wasn't a meal, but a walk. Sarah, how have you been lately? I'm good. Work is fun. That's great. You look much more radiant than when we first met. Really? Yeah. Back then, you looked like you were carrying a huge burden. I nodded at Daniel's words. That's right. I went through a difficult time back then. And now? Now I'm fine. No, I'm okay. Daniel smiled. That's good. As long as you're happy, that's what matters most. We walked a long distance without saying a word, but the silence wasn't awkward. In fact, it was very comfortable. Daniel didn't ask about my past. He just knew I was divorced and didn't care about anything else. He just accepted me as I was now, and that was wonderful. That evening, I went home and checked my phone. There was a message from my husband. Sarah, let's meet just once. Please. I read it and deleted it, because there was no reason to meet him anymore. A few days later, another problem arose. Please, I'm having trouble. Just let me meet you once. I deleted that message too. It wasn't my fault my husband was having trouble. It was due to his own actions. A week later, my husband came all the way to Portland himself. He stood in front of my office. Sarah, he said. He looked tired. His face was haggard, and his eyes weren't the same anymore. Why are you here? I need to see you. There's nothing left to see. Go home, Sarah. Please, just 5 minutes. I sighed. What are you doing here? I was wrong. I'm telling the truth. Everything collapsed because you weren't here. It's not your fault. I know. It's all my fault. But Sarah, can we start over? I'll try my best. I looked directly at my husband. No. Why? I'll give you more money. I'll give you $5,000 for living expenses. No. I'll give you whatever you want. I told you it's not about money. So what? It's about being treated like a human being. My husband looked at me with a blank expression. Me. I don't need money. I need to be treated like a human being. I want to be respected, to be asked for my opinion, to be given choices, and to have my feelings cared for. I've done that too. No, you never did that. My husband seemed speechless. You treated me like poison, a tool to take care of your parents, a tool to do housework, a tool to make you feel alive. No, I'm right. Admit it. Then you won't do that to others anymore. My husband bowed his head. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. I don't want to hear your apologies anymore. Just go, David. Don't contact me again. I turned and walked into the office. I didn't look back. That was the last time I saw him. A year passed. Life in Portland was stable. Everything in the office went smoothly, and my work performance was always good. My relationship with Daniel Lee also gradually developed. At first, we met as friends. Sometimes we ate together, went for walks, and watched movies. Then, at some point, we became dependent on each other. Daniel was completely opposite from me. He didn't talk much, was quiet, and awkward at showing emotions, but he showed it through actions. When I looked tired, he would quietly make me a hot cup of tea, and when I was having a hard time, he would sit quietly beside me. Sarah, you look a little sad today. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. I just have a lot to do. I'll treat you to dinner. You'll feel better if you eat something delicious. He didn't say much, but he was very thoughtful, and I loved that. One day, Daniel asked, Sarah, can I talk about your ex-husband? Why? I'm curious. What kind of person was he? I hesitated for a moment. I didn't want to bring up the past. But Daniel seemed genuinely curious. He didn't treat me like a human being. Didn't treat you like a human being? Yes. He treated me like poison, right? A tool for something. Daniel nodded. So that's why you got a divorce? Yes. It must have been very difficult. Very difficult. Daniel took my hand. Sarah, I will treat you like a human being, not a tool. Those words brought tears to my eyes. Thank you, Daniel. That's natural. It's important to treat everyone like a human being. During my time with Daniel, I gradually gained a more objective perspective. Before, I was very self-conscious. Would he be angry if I did this? Would he hate me if I did that? But Daniel always respected everything I did. Sarah, what do you want to eat tonight? Huh? Pasta? Okay. Pasta or Korean food is fine too. Want to try a bite? Sarah, you can eat whatever you want. But Daniel, what do you want to eat? Me? I like to eat whatever I'm eating with Sarah. That's how it was. He asked for my opinion and gave me choices. And I realized what a big difference that made. This is what it truly means to treat others well. After about a year and a half, Michelle suggested, Sarah, should we open another branch? Another branch? Yeah. We're so busy these days, the two of us can't handle it. Let's open another branch and you can manage it. Me? Yeah, you're more than capable now. You do good work, and the clients are good too. I hesitated. The responsibility seemed heavy, but Michelle was very confident. Sarah, can you do it? No, you will. I trust you. Finally, I decided to close the branch. 3 months later, the Portland branch of Michelle Chen and Associates, Loss Adjusters, opened. It was a small office, but it was my space. The first month was difficult. I had to recruit staff and apprentice them, but I did it step by step, and after about 3 months, I started to feel a little out of place. Thank you very much, Miss Miller. Thanks to you, I received my full insurance money. I'll ask for your help next time. When such reviews increased, I became more confident. I'm doing well. Then one day, I received a call from Washington, D.C. It was my husband. It was the first call in a year. Sarah, Why are you calling? I need to see you. I have nothing to do. Please, just this once. Finally, I took a deep breath. What are you doing? To apologize. I don't accept sincere apologies. Sarah, I'm really struggling right now. His company went bankrupt. All our business contracts were cut off. Everything collapsed. It's not my fault. I know. It's all my fault. But Sarah, I want to start over. I can't continue like this with you. Why? I'll give you money. I'll give you $5,000 for living expenses. No, I'll give you whatever you want. I told you it's not about money. So what? It's about being treated like a human being. My husband was speechless. You still don't understand. What? What I want isn't money. It's respect. To be treated like a human being. You didn't treat me like a human being. You never did. To you, I wasn't a wife. I was just a daughter-in-law, a housekeeper, a tool to take care of your parents. I wasn't a human being. So we divorced. Not because of money, but because of him. Sarah, don't call me again. I've started over. A new life. Do you have another lover? I laughed. That's what's important. No, I'm just curious. Yes, I have someone. Someone who treats me like a human being. My husband was silent for a long time, then softly said, "Okay, live well, be happy. You too." I hung up. That was truly the last time we spoke. A few days later, I was having dinner with Daniel. Sarah, you've been so cheerful lately. Really? Yeah. I feel like you've let go of something. Yes, you're right. I really have let go. What is it? The past. Daniel smiled. That's good. The past is over. Thank you, Daniel. What for? Just thank you for always being by my side. Daniel took my hand. I'm very grateful to you too, Sarah. We laughed together. And I realized, happiness isn't about great things. It's not about who is superior to whom, but about a relationship of mutual respect and care. That is happiness. 2 years passed. Work in the office was stable, and I did well as a manager. I also had a good relationship with Daniel. One day, Daniel asked, "Sarah, will you marry me?" "Yes, we will get married. I want to spend the rest of my life with Sarah." I hesitated for a moment. The word marriage still felt heavy, but I knew Daniel was different. "Daniel, can you promise me one thing?" "What?" "To treat me like a human being." "Forever?" "Of course. I promise." I smiled and nodded. "Then let's get married." Daniel laughed heartily. That evening, I went home and looked out the window. The nights in Portland were still special, but I wasn't alone anymore, because there was someone by my side, someone who treated me like a human being. And I realized this wasn't the end but the beginning of a new life.